So the odds on Damian Lillard's next team, got an email, and in the email it says that it's the Heat, 4-1.
That is the one that Chris Haynes said first.
Well, he wanted to go to Miami last time.
He wanted to go to Miami last time. So.
And they sent him to Milwaukee.
Yeah. And it didn't. Although it didn't go well, I know that first year was a little rough. Dame was having a really nice year. When you look at his numbers, Milwaukee wasn't doing that good, but Dame was having a nice year last year before the tear.
Gotta tell you, that's a trade that we all just went, whoa, that's going to be great. Yeah. Dame might get a ring, and it was terrible.
Didn't work out. Although they were never able to be healthy together in the postseason in the 2 years. But yeah, it didn't. There was that sense of this is the best pick and roll duo in the NBA, and look out, and it just never. You're right. It never clicked.
He played 73 games the first season and 58 this season.
And now Milwaukee's kind of scrambling because
Miles Turner.
Well, and they're stretching Dame over 5 years, and they're paying him like 20 something per year. That's essentially a starter that's going to be eaten up in the salary cap.
$22 million a year
for 5 years. Yeah,
Milwaukee, but it saves them money short term.
Yeah, Milwaukee's desperate
because he only had 2 years left on that deal. So now they're going to pay over 5.
Yeah, 2. Yeah. They're Milwaukee's desperate because in reality they should probably hit the reset button, and they're not willing to. So they're trying to do anything they can to keep Giannis happy. But in reality, for Milwaukee, if you were smart, it's just you mash the reset button and you go get a haul for Giannis and you try to rebuild. But they're going to try to patchwork this thing together, and it ain't going to happen.
Well, all three of them are. Like you look at Boston, Indiana, and Milwaukee.
Yeah,
they're all good teams who had a key guy go down with Achilles.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be without that guy next year.
And maybe that's why Milwaukee is doing this. They're like, hey, it's wide open, and we do have Giannis.
But it is, and you got Giannis, so you can't punt with Giannis.
Yeah.
You gotta try to. I mean, that's what they're all going to try to do. Yeah. Although Indiana, I don't know. Now they've lost Turner
and Halliburton,
and Halliburton's out. So
and Boston shed 3/5 of their starting lineup and $180 million. Boston basically said, if we're not going to win a title, we're not paying $500 million in salary and luxury tax. So they just kind of put a...
Well, I think they know it's a year. It's kind of a pause.
It's a pause.
Moving off of Porzingis and Holiday saved them $180 million just on taxes.
Yeah. They're like, we're...
just on taxes?
Just on taxes.
Like, not even their salaries.
No.
If they just kept those guys on, they would have owed $180 million
That was
more.
one of those. I do love that, Tatum's gone, so we're not going to win a title, and no. Here's some money off the books. And then... when Tatum comes back in a year, they may be able to go back and get more aggressive with it. But I would assume that Dame, like you said, Dame will probably want to go to some place where he can chase a ring, unless the heartstrings pull at him. But this idea too that Dame's going to take. Someone said I'd rather have Dame for $5 million than Drew Holiday at 30. If you think Damian Lillard's going to play for $5 million, stop it. The mid-level, by the way, in the NBA is 15 or is it 15 to 20 for the full mid-level? Like, Dame is not going to be a garbage ass like $2 player. So if Portland wants Dame back, they are going to have to pay. It's not going to be a super max extension or anything.
Will he be a vet minimum guy around the time Young Hansen and Scoot Henderson and Tumani Kamara have this team in position to win a title?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. A year from now.
No. I mean, Young's a project. We're talking 4 or 5 years out.
But there is that sentiment out there from some Blazer fan that like next year that Dame's like this scrap heap guy that you can get for 2 cents on the dollar, and that's just not going to be the case.
I don't know about next year, but he will eventually be that guy.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying is I think that's the time when it makes sense to just bring him back to Portland.
Yeah.
Because he lives here, he wants to be here. It's like, you're not getting much from him, but it's cheap. Just do it.
But
and that time is not now.
But and by the way, who knows? So Dame probably not going to sign anywhere this year. He'll rehab. Who knows what the NBA looks like a year from now? Because if we would have told everybody at this time last year that Boston would shed 3/5 of their starting lineup and basically be in a pause mode, that Indiana would have been a game 7, away from an NBA title and then having to tear that whole thing down. It just the landscape can change. Oh, and that the Knicks would go to the conference finals and then fire their coach and not have one, and maybe getting ready to hire the first female coach in NBA history. The league comes at you fast, man. So a year from now, the situation that we may look at and say, hey, that's a good fit for Dame, may be something completely different, and there may be a new team. Watch him go to like San Antonio a year from now with that young squad.
They're on this list.
Yeah, San Antonio, Dallas, something like that.
To be their Chris Paul.
Yeah, to be their Chris Paul.
Odds on Lillard's next team: Heat 4-1, Nuggets 5-1,
I could see that.
Blazers 6-1, Lakers 7-1. I don't want to see that.
No,
I don't want to see him in that yellow.
No,
that ugly ass yellow uniform.
No.
T-Wolves 8-1, and then Spurs and Celtics 9-1.
Yeah. So unless it's just
I could see Boston.
Unless Dame, I mean,
if he's healthy,
reunite Dame and Ant Simons. Let's go.
If Dame comes back at 75 to 80% of what he is, dude, that guy is going to be a coveted player. But he's no longer a guy that can carry you, right? And you can make the argument that he was never a guy to carry you. He was a star, but he wasn't like a gravitational guy that pulled everyone along. He never did anything here in Portland, didn't work in Milwaukee, and he's not going to be the same player. But to end up at a place where he can be a cog, the third best player on a lineup, dude, there'll be a huge market for him. And does he want to sacrifice that to come back and have a reunite with the Blazers? And no one knows that other than Dame. How much does home mean to you versus what you left for? I mean, he blew that whole thing up because he needed to go to a place to win and try to chase a ring.
Like I said, I don't think anything yet. I think he's going to rehab. He's going to go to another team, try to get back, to being Dame.
Yeah.
And then
make a decision.
After a couple of years, we'll see there'll be decline. He'll be 36, 37. Yeah. Then you start to get into maybe I'll just one final. The art museum's there.
We can't confirm the art museum is hosting his party this year, too.
I got a house there. Fine, I'll go back.
Let's go here. He loves it here.